Hello everybody, this is Devin, author of the Foundry system for Tales of Argosa by Stephen Grodzicki at Pickpocket Press. Today I'll be guiding you through the beta version of the TOA system for Foundry. We'll be creating a player character as well as a few NPCs in order to show off the sheets and automation. During character creation, I'll also walk you through each item type as they come into play. Note that this is the beta version and that some of the things that I go over in this video are subject to change. The oracles from TOA, both the Deck of Signs and Consult the Bones, will be a part of the system but are not currently functional. Also, in order to keep this video as helpful as possible, I'll make sure to have the timestamps in the description as well as lower thirds at the start of each section. So, let's get started. The first thing that we're going to want to do is create a blank player character sheet. So we'll go over to the Actors tab. We're going to click Create Actor. We'll leave the name as it is for right now and make sure that the type is character. This will bring up a blank character sheet for us to start filling out. So, going along with the character creation rules on page 8, we'll start with rolling a 1d12 for race. And this module is Dice Tray, highly recommend for quick rolls. Alright, we've got a 9. And that looks like the very edge for human, so we will go to this plus sign next to race. Alright, and we'll start filling things out. We'll go ahead and make this human, and you'll see right here the short description and the full description. This will be on every item sheet. The short description is most often used in the character sheet, actually, showing up as an item description and in the chat cards whenever an item is rolled. The full description is an area for world and game-specific notes that doesn't often get shown in either the character sheet or the chat log. We'll leave both of these blank for right now. We'll jump over to the Details tab, and you'll see a place to enter benefits and drawbacks that come with each specific race. This is purely informational, and this specific item type has no bearing on any automation to the character sheet like some of the upcoming items. Now, instead of taking the time to fill this out on camera, I've already filled out all of the races from the core rulebook, so I'll go ahead and delete this one, go over to my items, and you'll see a folder called races, and here's human. I can just click and drag, and you'll see that it auto-populates with everything here. Now, you might already see how a prepared GM using this Foundry system can speed up character creation by having each item type already filled out and ready to drop into a sheet, but I'll give you a tip for even speedier character creation. So we'll take this races folder and we'll right-click, go to Create Rollable Table. Now this will create a rollable table filled out with all of the items in the folder selected. We will go ahead and edit the formula to match the 1d12. We will take human is 1 through 9. Looks like dwarf will be 10, and you want to make sure to fill out both of these sections right here. And it looks like elf is 11, and then halfling and half scorn are both 12, so we can actually fill out both of these. We'll update that, go on over to chat, and then hit roll. And you'll see that it pops up in the chat with the item that is directly draggable onto the sheet. This table, and any others made this way, can even be dragged down to the macros hotbar, allowing for the GM to make a whole hotbar section dedicated to super quick character creation in between PC deaths. So we can do that, click that, and you'll see that it pops right up, and we've got the half scorn and halfling on 12. The player can just choose whichever one they want, drag it on over. So I know that I had rolled a 9 for the human race, but I'm going to keep my race as half scorn for some automation that's going to happen in the future. But let's go ahead through backgrounds. Again, you can click on this plus, creating a background item within the character sheet, but I've also filled these out as well. So we're going to make a rollable table, just like we did. Alright, we're going to keep the formula as 1d36, which works the same as if you were rolling a d66 with physical dice, and we're going to roll it. Alright, looks like I am a sailor. I'll take that from the chat, drag it straight onto the character sheet, and I'll go ahead and open it up so that we can look at what it holds. So we're going to skip over the description tab and go straight into the details, and you'll see here that this holds everything from the attribute bonus to the included skill, the included items. Whenever you're creating these, you can select the attribute from a drop down, and then these are just text fields. Now again, just like the race item type, the background item type has no bearing on any automations and is purely informational. Now that we've got our race and background, we'll go ahead and roll our starting attributes, keeping in mind that we've got the +1 to Constitution from our background. Now, I've got a handy macro set up for that I will happily pass on to anyone who would like it, or I might include it in the base system, we'll see. So let's go ahead and roll it. Alright, we will click here to get all of the flavor here, and let's start filling some things out. You'll notice that all of these things do modify other things in the sheet. You'll see that the dexterity, where I've got that +1 mod, it automatically updates your armor class. Where the Constitution, I have the -1, or actually, sorry, where the Constitution is 8, and I have 1 level right now, it's 8 + 1, and so that's your 9. So all of this stuff automatically updates, including the initiative that is the average between your dexterity and intelligence. Now, as per rules, I am going to switch some things around. And looking at these attributes, I would say that this character is begging to be a barbarian. So let's go ahead and look at the class. Now, I have filled this out off camera. But we'll go ahead and run through everything so that you can see what all the item type contains. First, you'll see that there is now information over in this sidebar. We've got the key attribute, which is Constitution for the barbarian, and we've also got your hit point formula. Now, this does automatically update over on your character sheet once you've dropped the item type, the class item type in, so make sure that you select the correct formula here. We'll move on over to the Details tab. Now, this is, again, purely informational. It's just so that you can list out everything for the class and have it for reference. It's got everything from your weapons to your armors to your starting gear, and it has the class advancement table right here that lists out your attack bonus as well as any abilities and skills that you'll get through leveling up. We'll jump over to the Skills tab, and the Barbarian starts off with Athletics, Wilderness Lore, and I've already got Watercraft from my Sailor, so I made sure that I selected that, because we'll be able to go over here to Additional Skills, click it, and it rolls for our 3 skills. Now that we have rolled for our starting skills, we'll go ahead and close this guy out and drag it on over, and it will auto-populate here, as well as giving us our updated HP, which is going to be 16 plus 2 times our level, giving us a total of 18, and we'll go ahead and enter the full hit points there. Now, going back through the rest of character creation, we've chosen our class. Our luck is going to be 11 instead of 10. Our attack bonus from this class, which you can click it open again, go into the details, you'll see your attack bonus right here. It is at a +1. Our rerolls are we are 1 because we are not a human. And then we'll go ahead and update our Dark and Dangerous Magic to 1, and will give us a D8 since we are first level here. You'll see that, again, the initiative is already calculated, hit points are already calculated, and our death save is also already calculated. Now, since we are a half scorn, you'll remember that +2 bonus on death saves does not stack. So I'll go over here into the Notes tab, and I'll go ahead and put a 2 into death save. Go back to combat, and you'll see that our death save is now at 14. That is 10 plus our Constitution modifier, plus the additional modifier that we have from our race. Next, we'll move on to skills. This item type has been set up to be extremely flexible, allowing multiple types of permanent modifiers so that you can keep track of anything that you might get from your race, class, or other influence. I've once again filled out most everything off camera, but there is one thing that I'd like to fill out in real time. So first, let's walk through the skill item type. Go into the tutorial skills over here, and I'm going to drag them all over onto my sheet. Now you'll notice that there is a +1 underneath each one of these skills, and that shows that my character is skilled in this particular skill. So we'll open it up with this button right here, the edit button, and you'll see that the skill item is only a single page. On the sidebar, you'll see the select attribute. You select whether or not your character is skilled, and you'll see a permanent modifier drop down. I filled out all of the descriptions here, and that's all there is to the skill item. Now let's look a little bit further into the permanent modifier. Now if you look into the half scorn race, it has advantage on all strength checks excluding melee attack and damage. So let's go ahead and make something for that. We'll go to this plus, which creates a new skill. We'll call it Scorn Strength. We're going to select the strength attribute. We're going to leave this not checked. That way we don't get the additional +1 bonus whenever we roll this, but we will go under to the permanent modifier and select advantage. You'll see a second one pop up. That's in case there's an additional +1 or +2 or -1, -2. If you do have advantage and disadvantage both selected, then it will only roll with one. Usually it is the second modifier that you choose. And so we go over here to our chat. We'll roll Scorn Strength, roll it as normal. If you choose either advantage or disadvantage here, it will override your permanent modifier. And you'll see that we rolled with advantage here, rolling a success. And now we'll do the same thing for intelligence for the Scorn. If you remember, there is disadvantage on intelligence checks. And we're going to set this up through the Foundry sidebar. So we'll click on Create Item. We're going to say Scorn Intelligence, select Type Skill, go under here to Intelligence, and then permanent modifier will be Disadvantage. Okay, we're going to drag that onto the sheet, go over here, double check it, and it did in fact roll with disadvantage, rolling that 16 instead of the desired 1 for a terrible failure. Now that we've gotten our skills finished, it's on to abilities. The Barbarian has 2 at first level, Ferocious Rage and Wildborn. Now I'll go over to the Items tab here. I've created both of these. We'll move to the Abilities tab on the character sheet and drag and drop. And here you'll see the short description coming in play. So let's go ahead and open one of these up to see what's in it. Here you'll see that there is a drop down for ability type in the sidebar. Now this is a class ability, but you'll also see that there are options for monster abilities and unique features. We'll keep this as a class ability. Next, you'll see the type. Now this only shows up with class abilities, so you'll see that if we go down to like monster ability, it disappears. So we'll reselect class ability. Here is the type. Most of these will be general, but this does allow a space to list out and roll for classes' first level abilities if they aren't set like the barbarians. Below that is uses, and that's exactly what it says. It's a place for you to track uses. Now, if you have this checked, whenever you send an ability to the chat, you'll see a button up here in the chat for you to use the ability. So I'll go ahead and send that over. And you can see Use Ferocious Rage. You click that and it updates the uses so that you can track it as you are going along during a session. Now we'll jump over to the details page and you'll see a section for rollable info. Now Ferocious Rage is not a rollable ability, but we'll go ahead and check it just to see what's in here. So we check the rollable, and then you can choose between attribute, damage, number of targets, duration, percentile. If you choose attribute, there's a drop down for which attribute you want to do. Say we do strength. You'll see that I have a strength of 13, right? We'll go ahead and do this. Roll ability. And you'll see that that's got my target strength right here, and that's so that if you have an ability that uses a specific type of attribute check, then you've just got that in the chat already. If we go to damage, you'll see that this is the number of dice, and this is the die size. Say 1d3 damage right there. We'll go to Ferocious Rage again. Rolling damage. Then we've got targets. Again, it's just a formula as well as duration. Percentile's a little bit different. It does have a percent chance. We'll keep it at 33. Keep it rollable. Go ahead and roll that again. And rolling failure. I got a 97 when I was looking for 33 or below. So that is all of your rollable types for a general ability. Now we'll switch this over to the table. I've pre-filled it out just so that we can have it for testing purposes. And so now that it is set at table, we'll go ahead and roll it again, and you'll see that it's selected 8. You can bring it up to a D12 table. It's pretty flexible there. We'll get into the monster abilities and the UFs. We'll actually go ahead and get into the unique features next. I'm going to give my actor, the Half-Scorn Sailor Barbarian, a unique feature just to test it out. Oh, actually, before I do that, I am actually going to make myself a custom skill for my advantage on wilderness lore from the Wildborn ability. Almost forgot about that. So I'm going to go in here, add the skill, wilderness lore. It is going to be intelligence. I am not skilled, but I do have advantage. And there we go. These are clickable and draggable to reorder if you want to put it in alphabetical order. You just drag it directly on top of what you want it to be below. So now we can move on to adding a unique feature to our character. I'm going to give them Divine Blessings. I've got it ready right over here. I'll drag and drop, and let's open it up to see what we've got filled in. As you can see, I have the unique feature selected here, and it does get 2 uses per adventure. So I've got uses tracked, and I've got my 2 out of 2 right here. And we'll go over to the details tab, and you'll see that it has the same rollable information, but it's also got tiers list. As all unique features have at least 1 tier. I've got this filled in and checked, and I'll go over into the chat, and you'll see that whenever I roll this, any of the checked tiers will show up in the chat, and then it's got the same use, divine blessings, so that I can count my uses per adventure and can regain things on rests. I'm going to go ahead and roll my first unique feature using a table that I've made out of the divine blessings folder. Go ahead and roll that. And we've got Light of Soliri. I'm going to drag and drop that. I'm also going to go in and I'm going to give him Watched Over as well. Now you'll see that the Light of Soliri did not show up in the Abilities tab. That is because this is counted as a spell or has to be cast similarly to a spell, so it's going to be in the Magic tab right here. But we'll get to that a little bit later. I'm going to go back to the abilities and we're going to continue on with the rest of character creation. So one thing really quick is that Watched Over gives us and our allies within a close range a +1 to our AC. Since this is always active for us, we can go into the Notes tab and adjust a permanent +1 to our AC. You'll see that it updates right over here. And for allies, there is an easy toggle for adding a quick +1 and +2 temporary AC. You can see it, click right here, take it off, +2, take that off. The next bit of character creation will be equipment. Equipment is the largest item type in this system, carrying everything from weapons to armor to poisons and everything in between. So first let's jump back over to the combat page and give our guy his class starting equipment. So I know that the barbarian gets a great axe and a set of hide armor. So we'll go over here. I've made our starting equipment, drag and drop the great axe, and drag and drop the hide armor. So we'll open up the great axe and you'll see that I've got the weapon type selected. If you click on this, you'll see how large this equipment category is. But right now we're just going to worry about the weapon. I have set the location. This is the next most important thing for our equipment. We've got equipped, battle gear, and pack gear. Now that will just change where it shows up in the character sheet. We've got rarity. Now this one is less important for weapons, but it can be very useful for GMs when rolling for gear cost and availability. Once we get to a different type of equipment, I'll run you through that. The slots tell you how many encumbrance slots this item takes up, and amount tells you how many fit within a single item. This is for bundles of items like torches and rations. And below that is the consumable checkbox, which functions similarly to the uses on abilities, subtracting 1 from the amount when the correct button is clicked. And we'll go over to details, and this is where you'll see the meat of the item. Each item has a different set depending on what type it is. So for the weapon, we've got our weapon type, switch between your bonuses for melee, which would be strength, or your bonuses for range, which would be perception. It's got things like the metal, the cost, all of that. We've also got our number of hands. You see one-handed, two-handed, or 1 to 2-handed. Our damage, and our natural 19 stuff here. Now, if you do have a weapon that is 1 to 2-handed and you select that, it will show up in our attack dialog box with a checkbox that you can check to add the +1 to damage for using two-handed. So we'll actually go over here and go ahead and roll this attack. If it is equipped, it will just automatically pop up with the dialog box. We can roll normal, and I've set it to roll both the attack and the damage all at once just to make things quicker for combat. Didn't do too well for that one, but if we go and we change this to battle gear, you'll see that there's a different icon, and this is just the general item to chat icon right here. We click that and it'll bring it up to the chat, and we can click attack from there. And there we go, that's a critical hit. It automatically calculates the damage, and there we go. I'm going to move this back to our equipped gear, and you'll see that the battle gear counts equipped weapons and shields in as well. It's not just the battle gear section right here. Let's open up the armor. And I do have this equipped, but you'll also see that it is not counting towards my encumbrance because the rules do state that worn armor does not count. We've got our equipped, common, 1 slot, even though that doesn't really matter here. And then we've also got our AC bonus. You'll see that now it is equipped. Our AC is now up to 15 with that +1 from our ability, and then your dexterity modifier, all of that. Let's go over to the backpack tab. Oh, actually, let's add a shield in here, just so I can show you how that works. So we'll drag and drop. All right, and I've got it set to equipped as well. And under the shield, you'll see in the general info under the details tab, it's got the AC bonus, which we are now up to 16 because of our equipped shield. If I do move this to battle gear, it takes it back down to 15. So you need to equip it. And you'll see that there's a splintered and there's a special icon next to the shield. If you click on this icon, it'll send a message to chat showing that you have broken your shield, negating the attack made against you, and it sets this to splintered. It doesn't take it away because I know that there are magical shields and such, and specific abilities that allow you to negate multiple attacks, so I didn't want to delete the item, but it does take away the AC bonus associated with that shield. And if you click it again, it'll bring back up that icon, and you can easily send it to chat again. Now let's move over to the backpack tab for the remainder of our equipment. I've got it all set right here, so I'm going to move it here so that it will count towards our slots. These slots are automatically calculated based on our strength. Rations, tinderbox, and torch. Now we'll click on this, and I want to show you why rarity can be so helpful for a GM in this system. We'll go over here to the supply, and you'll see a button here that says roll supply and cost. And this is based on your weapon, or not on your weapon, on your rarity from the table in the book. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this for a common item, and you'll see things pop up. All right, currently available, cost 1 silver, and are ready in 2 hours or less. Now, if we switch this to an uncommon, you'll see that all of this updates right here. And we have failed on our target roll, on our supply target. We rolled a 15 instead of the needed 14, so it's currently not available, and we may check again in 6 days. Now let's go ahead and roll it again for a success. It's got 5 bedrolls, currently available at 15 silver each. And so there we go. This works for everything up to very rare, and it will show you GM's call on cost, failure on supply because of the very low number, and it tells us how many months it is now until we can find the very rare bedrolls. Close out of that, we're going to clear the chat, and I want to just show you what encumbrance looks like. We'll add a bunch of stuff to our guy, load him up with some food. That should do it. And it shows us that we are now encumbered, and this is just for your own benefit, so that you can add any of these penalties that you might need to further on down the line. Now that we have gear, now that we've gone through abilities, we are going to jump into the spells tab. At the top of the spells tab, we see the DDM die and DDM pool, as well as a favor toggle. Since we are level 1, we'll have our DDM die set at a D8, and we'll go ahead and toggle on our favor thanks to our divine blessings. Now, let's open up the Light of Solori spell and see what we can do there. Looking at the sidebar, we have our casting attribute, which I have set as Willpower, acting as a cultist, casting his divine blessings. This may or may not be correct, but it's what I'm going to go with here. Next we have the range and durations. These are both drop-downs with the standard ranges and durations from the core rules. Next, I've already got it on the details page since I was just editing this not too long ago. We'll see everything that this spell can do. It is rollable, since on a great success we can deal an additional 1d6 damage to demons and undead when struck with an item with the spell cast on it. We also have the saved checked, and showing that this spell can be negated or reduced when the target makes a successful Luck Constitution save. Now we'll scroll down to the effects, and we'll see the main effect and the great success. These are both pretty straightforward, and each of them shows up when they're supposed to, depending on the roll result in the chat. The additional effect is purely for informational purposes and will not show up in the chat. So let's go ahead and close out of this spell item and cast the spell. You'll see that since we have our favor checked, we have the option to use favor. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll roll it normal, and it says that I am attempting to cast. It gives me my targets and everything, my range. It already rolls my duration, and it gives me everything that I had filled out earlier, such as the luck con save negates, success, and gives that whole deal. I can roll damage. I can't really because it was not a great success, but let's go ahead and roll it without the favor to see what comes up. So we've got our failed roll now. It's just your standard spell fails, make a DDM check. You have access to a reroll. Would you like to use it? If I reroll here, it will automatically subtract one reroll. Let's go ahead and roll the Dark and Dangerous Magic though. Alright, success. We are spared a roll on the tables, and our chance has increased by 1. And you'll see that it is already increased over here. And that's about it for the spell rolls, but let's go ahead and give him a god for his divine blessings. We're going to give him Graxus, the Iron God. Put that over there, open it up, and this is, again, mostly informational. All of this stuff will show up in chat if we roll it. Well, all of the description, sorry. And then the details is just for our own use. Let's clear out the chat again. And next up, we have the setbacks and conditions. On the setbacks and conditions page, we have a list of all conditions from the core rules. These don't currently affect any of your rolls and are there purely to see which conditions you are suffering from. Now let's go ahead and make a setback or two from within the character sheet. We'll go ahead and click on this plus here, bring up the setback item type, and from within that you'll see that there are 4 different types of setbacks. You've got injury, addiction, madness, and trauma. Now if we open details, we'll go ahead and see what each one of these does. We'll set it to injury, and you'll see that there is an area to add attribute damage, with a formula, and then your effects box. Now, none of this affects the character sheet at the moment. It is purely for informational purposes. If we go under the addiction, you'll see that there is a spot for habit cost to check whether or not is in remission, and there is an addiction chance increase should we have to roll against it again. Madness and trauma only have the effects box. So I'm going to go ahead and set this, send it to chat, just so you can see the 4 types over here. We'll send the injury, send the addiction, send the madness, and send the trauma. Now you'll see that the men period over here does pop up, and since I didn't set an actual time period, rounds, years, all that, it does come up as none, so make sure that you set that. It also gives you the treatment cost. For an injury, you just get the short description. For a setback, not a setback, an addiction, it gives you the short description. This area is the effects, and then there is a button for each the addiction fix check, the downtime check, and the recovery check. You'll click this, it gives you your luck will, normal, success, perfect. Downtime check is just the will to see if you need, or if you can feed or hold off. Great success, perfect. And then there's the recovery check, which is another luck will check to see if you are recovering. We have not recovered. Again, a reroll button pops up on any luck check, as well as any skills that you are actually skilled in, and allows you to reroll while also updating your rerolls over here. We'll see that the madness comes with its own remission check button. That again is your luck will check. Great success, and then we can go over here and we can just take it off the sheet. And then you've got your trauma, which is purely men period and your description. That takes us through most of the sheet. There are a couple other buttons. We hadn't gotten into, let me set my crit range. We hadn't gotten into our luck rolls yet. I did do a couple of successes there, and you'll see that it's automatically deducted from there. If you click on it and you oracle roll, it will not deduct on a successful check. Well, I failed both times, but it does not deduct from a successful check. And then if you choose an attribute to go along with it, it does update the target over here. And so we'll click that, luck strength, and normal, still a failure. We're getting pretty low on luck. And then lastly, we have some rests. So I'll go ahead and give myself a decent bit of damage here. We're gonna take me down to 8. We have used rerolls here. We have burned some luck, and we'll go ahead and give me some attribute damage as well. All right, so we'll go ahead and look at the short rest. Click on this, and it automatically rolls both of your will checks. We see that I got a terrible failure on one, but a great success on another. Each one of these buttons will update your character sheet. If I want to choose for recovering HP, I'll click on that, and boom, recovered 4 hit points, bringing me up to 12. Now this chat log does not go away, so it does allow me to test everything, but just know that each one of these can be used multiple times, so be careful on that. I'm going to go ahead and recover an ability use. It goes through all of my abilities that are less than max. Where these two aren't tracked, it will not bring them up. So right now, the only one that is less than max is my Ferocious Rage. I'll go ahead and click that, and it updates for me. I'll go ahead and recover 1 reroll, just so that you can see that it updates there. And then I'll recover an attribute point loss. Now, it should bring up Strength and Constitution, since both of those are less than max. Let's see. Yes, Strength and Constitution will go ahead and recover 1 Strength, bringing me back to 11 out of 13. And that's all of our short rests. So we'll clear out the chat log, go ahead and do a long rest, and it tells me that I've recovered all of my lost hit points. Though it looks like I haven't, I'll need to fix that bug there. Recovered all class abilities, all rerolls, all attribute loss. You'll see that it has updated there, and 1 point of luck. So that is mostly working as intended. And that's it for the character sheet. I guess I should go in and give my guy a picture here. We'll go over to my worlds, dev world image, And since this guy is a barbarian, we'll give him a barbarian. There we go. And we'll give him Surge as his name. He is going to be, we'll say 36 years old. And here's where you can enter some bonds between your other PCs, as well as languages. I almost forgot about the languages. We'll add one because he does not have enough intelligence to get an additional language, so we'll just put common right here. And the language only has the description tab. All right. Now that takes care of our actor sheet. So we'll go ahead and create ourselves an NPC. Now you'll see that the NPC starts off set on monster, so we'll go ahead and run through that really quick. We'll leave all of the attributes as they are for now, and we'll update our hit dice to a D8 so that we get that sweet attack bonus, and we'll go ahead and roll our HP. We'll see that it goes over. Ooh, not so great. Looks like a weakling here. After that, we'll set our crit range to 20. We'll roll our number appearing. All right, there are 7 appearing. And let's go ahead and roll our reaction. They are curious. All right, and just as a quick note, if you have any field in the reactions that are for a single number, make sure that you fill in both of these inputs here, like I did with this unreachable 13. This section over here is for notes, and it is enriched should you want to add any additional notes from this section of the sheet. Next, we'll go over to the combat tab. Now, NPCs work similarly to player characters in how you can now drag and drop everything onto the sheet. If you want to add in an attack, just use the weapon type of the equipment item. And there's even an option for monster weapon type, but that doesn't really add anything and is just for your own use. So we'll go ahead and add this great axe over here, and you'll see it's automatically in there. Let's go ahead and turn it into a monster type and roll it. And this gives me the +1 from the hit dice. If you'll see right here, it's rolled a 7, total is 8, deals 12 points of damage right there. It's got a section for your movement, section for types of movement, and section for numbers of attacks and AC. You'll also see that there are a list of traits over on the right for your reference. None of these are rollable at the moment, but I have been thinking about making resistance and regeneration rollable, so we'll have to see where I get on that before release. Next tab is the abilities tab. Now, this is also similar to the player character abilities with one big change. We'll go ahead and add a new ability. We'll call it just monster ability. Make sure that we have the ability item type. Create. And we'll go down to monster ability. The big change here is the fact that you can choose a recharge. We'll go ahead and make this a percentile recharge. Keep it at 30%. It's got your same rollable. We'll do damage. We'll make this a beefy one, 10d10. And that's what we got right there. We'll throw that over into the chat. And we've got monster ability, recharge, 30%. This right here will automatically roll for the recharge. We've got our uses. Let's give these a roll. We're going to use it to track the ability usage, and we're gonna roll it. Oh, I have a small issue there. I will figure that one out here soon. And then we're gonna go ahead and roll the recharge. Success, I rolled under that 30, so it is recharged, and you'll see that it is currently recharged. We go over to spells. These work exactly the same as the player characters. The only difference, I would say, is that their DDM is set by hit dice as per Steve's directions. And then lastly, we have setbacks and loot. Again, very similar. The loot, however, does hold every single item that is not a weapon. And that's so that you can pre-roll all of your loot, you can set everything up, and say Surge beats this 1 hit point NPC and wants to take that bedroll, you just drag it, drop it over into his sheet, and you'll see that there is an additional bedroll at the end of his items. Now let's go ahead and look at the hirelings. We'll switch it over here to the Notes tab, and you'll see that there's a spot for hireling type, which is non-combatant, mercenary, or henchman, should one level up to be that. You've got your cost, and you've got your death save. Now notice this is not clickable right here, but if I check it, we've got our death save now. And this is rolling as per the PC. The NPC is dead and gone, shed a tear for the departed. Below that we have all of our standard NPC background information, bio information, and that is the same if we switch over to generic. All these other tabs stay the same. Mostly it's just the Notes tab that is different. And that's the last bit of this system. Until I get the oracles up and running, which once I send this off to Steve and the other playtesters, I will get working on that. So I hope that you enjoy this system, and I cannot wait to get this out for you guys.